The This meeting of the New Jersey State Review Board for Historic Sites is being conducted in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law. In keeping with the requirements of the law, the Historic Preservation Office submitted written notification to 4 newspapers on October 14th, 2025. The Historic Preservation Office also gave adequate notice to all other parties concerned in conformance with the National Register regulations at 36 CFR 60 and with the New Jersey Register regulations at NJAC 7:4.
Thank you. My name is Kate Ogden, and as chair of the New Jersey State Review Board for Historic Sites, I welcome you to our November 14, 2025 meeting. As you heard, this meeting is being recorded. This board meeting is the end of a process of considerable research and consultation with the New Jersey State Historic Preservation Office. The only responsibility of this board is to comment on the historic significance and architectural integrity or other of the historic property as demonstrated by the nomination under discussion. We are not allowed to consider or comment on other matters. If at the end of deliberation it is determined that a nomination is eligible for listing on the New Jersey and National Registers of Historic Places, the board will make a recommendation to the Assistant Commissioner of Community Investment and Economic Revitalization of the Department of Environmental Protection. It's quite a title, who has the final decision on whether to sign the nomination. Our decision is advisory only. Upon receiving a favorable signature, the property or district is simultaneously listed on the New Jersey Register and recommended for listing on the National Register. As a general reference, the following information is provided for the public concerning the State Review Board and our meetings. First, it is generally the responsibility of the HPO, the Historic Preservation Office, as staff to the board, to provide technical guidance and professional recommendations concerning nominations before the board. When a professional consultant has prepared a nomination, the HPO usually extends a courtesy to permit that consultant to make the presentation to the board. However, HPO reserves the right to present nominations to the board directly. All public comment will be limited to the public comment portion of the meeting as directed by the presiding chair. During the board's deliberation on the merits of a resource and during the voting on a motion, public input is restricted to answering specific questions of a member of the board. The board has general guidelines that we ask applicants and members of the public to follow. As the board is limited to evaluating historic properties in terms of the state and national register criteria, we ask that both the presenter and the public restrict their comments to the criteria and to the significance and integrity of the property or properties in question. Please note that board jurisdiction is limited to whether the property being proposed for listing meets the criteria for evaluation. Once the presenter has made a presentation by summarizing the property's significance and eligibility in terms of the criteria, the board will question the presenter. After these questions, the chair will solicit public comment. Public comments must relate to matters that the board is empowered to consider and should only include new material that is not included in the nomination and which was not part of the presentation to the board. It is important that anyone presenting new information must be able to document the new information. The board is likely to ask for the source of the information. Organizations will have the opportunity for 2 spokespersons who may speak up to 3 minutes each. Unaffiliated private citizens may also speak up to 3 minutes each. The chair reserves the right to limit presentations and comments as required by the Press of Business. Andrea, roll call for the board.
David Abramson. Michael Charappa. Janet Foster.
Here.
Kathleen John Alder.
Here.
Michael Mills.
Here.
Kate Ogden.
Here.
Anthony Piniello. Michael Siegel. Hetty Williams.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have quorum.
Thank you. I believe there are no opening announcements.
Correct.
Approval of minutes. Our next item is to approve the minutes from our July 2025 meeting. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes? Are there any proposed changes or updates? Janet? Mike, turn on your mic, Janet.
Yep. Sorry. Can I just offer a couple of tiny tweaks, please?
Yes.
Page 2, under the board comments for the knitting mills, the third paragraph, line 2, under the comments by Foster. I think the word should be prefabricated, ED. It's not, but it just, could that spelling be corrected, please? Page 4, under the board comments on the historic bridges, Foster comments, second line, the use of lime mortar. We're missing a word there. And page 6, the second set of John Alder comments on the bridges. The quote is, the setting of the bridge on an improved road. And I think it's the setting of the bridge on an unimproved road that was so impressive to us. But thank you, Kathleen, yes.
Yes.
I need some memory jogging, because I'm like, well, was it?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that was part of the spectacular nature of that bridge, because it's still on an unimproved road. So that is probably more critical than getting TENS agreement. So that would be my 3 comments on this. Thank you.
Are there any other comments or changes? Hearing no answers, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I will second it, Janet.
With the emendations.
Yes, with the changes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Calling the question.
Janet Foster,
Yes.
Kathleen John Alder,
Yes.
Michael Mills,
Cannot vote. I was not at the meeting.
Oops.
Kate Ogden,
Yes.
Hetty Williams.
I believe I was only a part of that meeting.
Okay.
Oops.
Mhm.
All right. I think they still pass.
The review of nominations. The purpose of this part of the meeting is to discuss each nomination and to vote on whether they meet National Register criteria. I remind members to please state your name when making or seconding a motion. Any board member who has an interest, personal or professional, in the property or who would benefit from its listing should declare his or her interest and excuse themselves from the meeting for the duration of the discussion of that nomination. Thank you for reminding me in the chair script, Andrea. Sometimes I forget to ask about recusals. The discussion of each nomination will be concluded with a motion and a voice vote as to whether it is approved or rejected. As to old business, I understand there's no old business. As to new business, the consent list comes first. It's a list of nominations that are so well prepared and clearly argued that there is no need for discussion or any emendations. Only nominations of individual properties can be placed on the consent list. Historic districts must always be presented in full. The board will view the slides for the consent list nominations, but there will be no accompanying verbal presentation and no discussion. The board must vote unanimously to place an item on the consent list. Would anyone like to move to place any of today's nominations on the consent list? That looks like a no. Let's see.
And then the next paragraph is an error, a holdover error.
I'm not
The next
sure.
paragraph
Oh,
in your script. So we
right.
can just go straight to fire engine.
Okay. Was there a change in order?
No.
No. Okay. That's part of the confusion. First on the list, first nomination to be discussed is the Atlantic City Fire Engine Company 4 Truck B, Fire Station number 4 in Atlantic City. Does anyone on the board need to recuse themselves? No. Who is presenting that, Andrea?
It's Easton Associates. Is it Siri or Frankie?
Both
Siri.
of us.
Oh, okay. You guys want to go ahead and share a screen?
Absolutely. So Frankie will be sharing her screen, and so I'll introduce ourselves. My name is Siri Olson. I am the Director of Preservation Policy and Planning at Easton Architects. And we are joined on this call as well by our colleague Tamara Talbert and a representative from Atlantic City, Jim Rotella. And so Frankie, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Frankie Evans, and I'm the Cultural Resource Specialist at Easton Architects.
Thank you and welcome.
So just to
it looks like I got kicked off to sharing my screen.
Uh-oh. I was trying to give you the power. I messed up. Now I have to find you in the list again. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Something always happens with Zoom or Teams.
I can't find you, Frankie.
We see
He's
Frankie
at the
now.
bottom under attendees. Do you want me to do it, Andrea?
Oh, yeah.
I think I have more difficulty with Microsoft Teams than Zoom. Microsoft
Yes.
Teams, it either wants to take over or it doesn't give me a speaker, or I have to ignore the app. It takes me several times to log in.
100%, yes.
Oh boy, here we go. Excellent.
Okay,
Here
should be
it is.
good.
Wonderful. All right, so thank you so much for including us in this meeting. We are delighted to be here today talking about the Atlantic City Engine Company number 4 Truck Company B. So to get you introduced to the property, Atlantic City Engine Company number 4 Truck Company B is located in the Chelsea neighborhood of Atlantic City within Atlantic County. So it's in the southwest section of the city at the intersection of Atlantic and South California Avenues on one of the city's main thoroughfares. So Engine Company number 4 Truck Company B is an active fire station and is currently known as Station 4. So for brevity in this presentation, we'll be using its current Station 4 name rather than its longer historic name. And construction of this station began in 1912 and it was completed in 1913.
Station 4 exhibits all exterior features common to the early 20th century fire station typology in Atlantic City, including a 2 or 2.5 story height, hipped roof, brick and masonry construction, large engine bays at the facade, and a prominent hose tower. After Atlantic City's paid fire department was first established in 1904, the city began a campaign of new fire station construction to replace the former stations of the volunteer fire companies. Discussion of the construction of a new station at the corner of Atlantic and South California Avenues first began in 1910. Station 4 was constructed by local contractor Wilbur Beaumont and designed by S. Hudson Vaughn, who also designed at least 3 other fire stations in the city, 2 of which are still extant. Station 4 is a brick masonry building comprised of 3 volumes, a 2.5-story main block, 3-story hose tower, and a 1-story rear block, all constructed between 1912 and 1913. Typical masonry detailing across all volumes includes a granite base, above which extends a profiled granite water table, a rusticated red Roman brick first story, and salmon-colored Roman brick in the second story, molded terracotta banding between the first and second stories, and terracotta lintels and window surrounds. The mortar joints between the brick are thin, and the mortar, which is tinted to blend with the color of the brick, is slightly recessed and therefore less apparent. The main roof has deep overhanging eaves constructed of painted pressed copper with paired wood brackets with pendants. Between sets of decorative brackets, the underside of the eaves is decorated with inset rectangular panels featuring an egg and dart motif flanked by rosettes. Since 1913, few alterations have been made to the exterior of the station, all of which are further discussed in the nomination. The most notable change was the demolition of the ornamental top of the hose tower in 1965. The first floor of Station 4 contains the apparatus room at the front of the building, behind which are the kitchen, recreation room, and workshop, among other auxiliary rooms. The apparatus room, kitchen, and recreation room share detailing, including white glazed tile wainscoting with custom bullnose detailing. The apparatus room also features a pressed tin ceiling and decorative mosaic tiles above the wainscoting. Brass fire poles and openings are located throughout this room, which lead from the second floor. The second floor contains a dormitory, gym, offices, bathrooms, and a locker room. Common materials on this floor include painted plaster walls, wainscoting, picture moldings, and original wood flooring. The half-story in the building was originally used as a gym. Alterations made to the interior of the building are minor and were necessary for the continued use of the station.
Station 4 is significant at the local level under Criterion A for its association with advancements made in firefighting technology, namely the gasoline-driven apparatus, and as a highly visible example of municipal investment in the city's fire department. The switch to a city-owned fire department enabled greater firefighting efficiency, as increased municipal investment in its fire department resulted in the purchase of more modern equipment and apparatus. Station 4 was constructed at a time when gasoline-driven fire engines were becoming more common, and as a result, was the first station in the city that did not use a horse-driven apparatus. And the fire station is also significant under Criterion C, as the most intact and representative example of the hose tower and attached building fire station type within Atlantic City, and for its ornamented and richly detailed high-style design. When constructed, this station embodied many of the major architectural features within the fire station typology, which were heavily influenced by these advancements in firefighting technology and by public opinion during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Among the neighborhood fire stations within the city, the appearance of Station 4 represented a departure from the traditional, modestly adorned red brick fire station in favor of a design that was complementary with the other buildings in the area and intentionally grand in its design. Station 4 encompassed advancements and trends in fire station layout, design, and incorporation of new technology occurring throughout the late 19th century, culminating in the early 20th century with the introduction of gasoline-driven apparatus.
The period of significance for Station 4 is 1912 to 1913, which encompasses the building's construction. This period was selected because the building's significance is derived from both its high-style architectural design and as the first station built to house gasoline-driven apparatus. The construction of this fire station marked a turning point within the Atlantic City Fire Department, acting as a catalyst for the department's incorporation of more modern technologies in firefighting. The building's evolution over time is evident in the interior alterations that have been made, many as a result of the building's continued use since construction over 100 years ago, and changes within the Atlantic City Fire Department throughout the 20th century. The building retains all 7 aspects of integrity. Station 4 retains integrity of design, materials, and workmanship from its period of significance. Despite the demolition of the ornamental top of the hose tower, the structure's original use is still evident. This tower and the 2 large bay doors of the facade continue to communicate the building's historic and current use. The brick masonry, granite, decorative terracotta, and bracketed copper cornice are original materials and retain their rich detailing, which collectively contributes to the high-style design of the station. The remodeling of interior rooms has been largely limited to tile replacement in the bathrooms and kitchen, the replacement of light fixtures, and the conversion of rooms in the hose tower to storage rooms in service of the building's continued use. Station 4 also retains integrity of location and setting within the densely populated Chelsea neighborhood. The building retains integrity of association as it continues to be in use as a fire station, and retains integrity of feeling as its design materials and high-style appearance are all characteristic of late 19th and early 20th century fire station design in Atlantic City.
So of the extant fire stations in Atlantic City, the larger trends of station design in response to the establishment of paid departments, changes in firefighting technology, and popular architectural styles are most evident in Station 4. The building's bold architectural design, emphasized by the use of materials of contrasting color, set it apart from existing stations in Atlantic City at the time of its construction. Station 4 remains one of the most prominent fire stations due to the material integrity of the building's features and detailing, as well as its unique architectural design among other extant fire stations. The building's design corresponds to a nationwide trend in the late 19th and early 20th centuries of the construction of architecturally grand fire stations using municipal funds, encouraged in part by favorable public opinion and increased spending on city services. Of the remaining Atlantic City fire stations, Station 4 is significant as the first station to use motor-driven apparatus, a technological advancement which led to significant changes in the layout of fire stations. So that concludes our brief presentation, and we thank you again for the opportunity to discuss this nomination today.
Thank you very much. It's such a lovely building. Do I hear questions or comments from the board? It makes me regret the two fire stations in my town, which are not lovely at all. No questions?
I have lots
Janet?
of questions. I was just hoping somebody else would go first.
Janet, you and David are really the architecture people.
I know. And I feel like I have to pick up David's mantle here and say the photographs were excellent. He's a man who's very particular about the photographs. The photographs are excellent. Thank you. I don't know that you could take a bad photograph of that building, but that's a different point. Beautiful, beautiful materials, clearly a well-loved building. I'm so glad it's still in its original use. And all these lovely brick details that you just described, and the terracotta and the rusticated granite and the tile and the woodwork and the iron. So I was a little surprised when I got to section 8, where it finally dropped into that it's a steel frame building. I think that is just as important as all those luscious details on the outside. And you might enter that into the description early on because it is a modern building, and its use as a fire station for motorized vehicles instead of for horses is very important. You cite that as your first criterion A. So perhaps that should also show up very early in the summary description of the fire station so that people without an attention span get that drift right away. But everything is great. The massing is intact. I don't mind. I mean, I'm sorry the roof is gone of the tower, but that happened a long time ago, and the massing and footprint are the same. So I really think this does meet all those architectural criterion. Little typo, section 7, page 3, interior description of room 100, second line. Concrete does not have an A in it. I'm sure that was just a typo, but you're going to fix that. Section, when we get to page 7 to 20 in section 8, you're starting to lose me. This entire history of firefighting in the United States, I think, is unnecessary. It's good to have the references to Atlantic City's sort of individual grappling with how they were going to invest in that in their city, but there's an awful lot of information that I don't think needs to be here. You might put a footnote, and if you want to know more about the history of firefighting, read this, this, and this. Particularly section.
Janet, can you repeat those page numbers?
Well, starting on section 8, page 7.
Okay, thanks.
And paragraph 2 on page 7 of section 8, there's a long run-on sentence that's very confusing and says something like the paid fire departments legal standing was not officially established by a new ordinance following the Supreme Court ruling in 1906. So why are we talking about if it was not established? I get that there's a Supreme Court ruling and there's some local ordinances, but that is, I think you need shorter sentences and more clarity and get to the point about Atlantic City's fire stations in there, and just reorder it. And again, if it needs to be thrown into a footnote so that one can read just about this fire station, that's okay. So that's all. But a major rewrite or edit, like take out pages 12 to 20 in section 8, excuse me, because in general firefighting development, I just don't think we need to give prizes for the longest nomination that we get, frankly, because everything else about this is really good. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it. But Michael, I hear you making noises. So what do you think?
Well, Janet, I noticed the same thing, but then I also think about the comments we've been getting back from the Park Service about not enough context for the nomination. And I don't know, I thought the entire nomination was terrific. It was very detailed, very systematic description of the building, very detailed history and the setting of the context for the station. Well footnoted, well documented. I guess you could take out some of the detail. I do agree with what you said. I kind of got lost also, but it's I think a very good nomination of a very good building. The loss of the Belvedere on the tower is unfortunate. It does affect the material integrity of the building, but it did happen a long time ago, and the design of it is well documented. So I don't know. I mean, I would love to see it reconstructed, but that's probably not going to happen. But the building as it is has enough material integrity to qualify it for the register, in my opinion. I guess I'll just continue with other comments. Does the building have sprinklers? That's a question. The photographs don't seem to show that. I wondered if they were there. I kept looking for them. It would be very embarrassing if a significant fire station burned down, which has been known to happen. And sometimes
what would burn?
The
It's so
firefighters
masonry.
are
What would
there, and so
burn?
they can. But things happen, and that should be encouraged to the city, that they install sprinklers. It's required by code for a building like that.
And-
People are sleeping in the building, for God's sake.
Okay, Michael, that doesn't make it eligible or ineligible.
That's true. It's not it's just a
That's
observation.
an architect looking for his next gig. I get
No,
you.
no, that's fine. There are enough capable people in Atlantic City to do that project. Let's see what else. I would love to get those firefighters some better furnishings in their rec room. They deserve it. Those guys, risk their lives, every day, and we appreciate what they do. I don't know, maybe they like the furniture. It's all broken down. Maybe it's very comfortable, but anyway, it just, if you're looking at the building as a totality and interior and exterior, it kind of affects the integrity to me, but whatever. Maybe not to them. But
Michael, it's reversible.
It is.
It's reversible.
It is.
Pull a dumpster up, it's reversible.
Looks like there was some damage to the beaded board on the top floor, and it got patched with plywood, but that's again a minor point in terms of material integrity. But anyway, no, I'm fully on board with this nomination. It's a beautiful building. I love those triple windows, the triple arched windows over the over the equipment, the vehicle doors on the ground floor. It's just really, really high quality design and materials. I think that's enough.
Very Romeo and Juliet, those three windows.
Yeah.
It looks like a little, balcony. Anyone else? Comments from the board?
Yeah, so my comment would be, I agree with Michael to keep the historical context piece in there. Because, as he said, that's been a big issue with, different nominations getting rejected. It might be some editorial things you could reduce, but I think that probably only enhances the proposal.
Andrea, do we have a sense of where the Park Service stands now? Lisa Deline left, correct?
Yes, Lisa DeLine retired, and our National Park Service reviewer now is Rachel Leibowitz. She has a PhD, and I believe one of her specialties is landscape architecture. I did have a transition meeting with both Lisa and Rachel and was told to expect no substantial change in how nominations were reviewed or commented on.
And Lisa was pretty supportive of a lot of historical context, I believe.
We never had anything returned because there was too much context.
Okay. Well, although I'm sympathetic to Janet's complaint.
I have to agree. I'm sympathetic too. I like the dialogue between the narrative and the footnote.
Mm.
The fact versus the narrative, and so it's not taking the content away, and you can even embellish it more in the footnote and even say, see also, additional sources, etc., and put those in the bibliography. So, but again, I'm not going to quibble about where it's positioned within the narrative. And I agree. I thought it was a really beautiful building, and I was going to let the architects speak about it.
We can leave in the context, but I'm going to be a stickler on section 8, page 7, where you talk about the Supreme Court ruling. That part just needs to be clarified because it makes no sense to the reader who's not familiar with firefighting legalities, and cut to the chase. But I thought the context of looking at all the other stations in Atlantic City provided the underpinning that the National Register often looks for, because they say, why this firehouse? Aren't there other firehouses in Atlantic City? And I thought that was really well handled and kind of went through one by one. This one isn't old enough. This one has had these major reservations. This one has had its doors knocked off. So I thought that kind of context for the architectural part was really well done, and don't change a thing on that. And P.S. It's not a complaint, Siri. It's not a complaint. It's just a comment.
We
Love it.
fully agree with these and had this debate internally, and with Andrea, it was the length versus succinct description. Absolutely was a piece. So we hear and appreciate all of your comments and your internal discussion today about it, because we did the same, and it really was context in support of the comparative discussion and trying to give as much context as possible with that view towards NPS.
Do I hear a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. Did someone else on the board want to comment?
Do you need to hear from the public?
Oh, yes. Does anyone from the public have comments or questions? Thanks, Janet.
I don't see any requests to speak in the chat.
Okay. In that case, Janet, do you want to make a motion with your revised suggestion?
I will, and then if enough of you disagree with me, you can rewrite the motion. How's that? But it's always easier to edit than start out. So I propose that we accept the nomination for the Atlantic City Fire Station number 4 with some of the minor amendments about emphasizing the motor-drawn aspect of its design, putting something about that early on in the summary, also putting something early on about it being steel frame construction, continue all your lavish descriptions of the materials with some editing, section 8, page 7, at least, about the Supreme Court ruling and the municipal ordinances and the legal stuff, which possibly may need some bigger footnotes and smaller sentences. And that's the end of my amendments. I won't say anything else.
Is there any?
I'll second it.
discussion?
Thank you,
I'll third it.
Kathleen.
Sounds like I'll call the question.
Janet Foster,
Yes, please.
Kathleen John Alder,
Yes.
Michael Mills,
Yes, and thank you.
Kate Ogden,
Yes.
Eddie Williams.
Yes.
The motion to accept with emendations passes unanimously.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you all. We are delighted and we appreciate the discussion.
Okay.
We go back on and forth a little on the historical context and how much. Moving along. I can move along, right, Andrea?
Mhm.
Yes.
Item 2 on the agenda is 4 Echelon Plaza in Voorhees Township, Camden County. I'm sure I've driven past it and not thought about it too much. I live not too far from there.
I believe the presenter is Kevin McMahon.
Hello, everyone. So let me just pull this up here. All right, so I think many of you are familiar with my past nominations. If not, my name is Kevin McMahon. I am a historic preservation consultant at Powers and Company in Philadelphia. And today I'm presenting the nomination for 4 Echelon Plaza in Voorhees. So let's get started here. So just a quick overview. This is an 8-story office building with an attached 2-story parking garage. It's built between 1974 and 1975 as part of the Echelon Town Center. This was a planned community envisioned and built by the Rouse Company of Baltimore that included not only the Echelon Mall, but many housing units, but also amenities like a library, schools, medical offices. It was really a complete community based on what the Rouse Company had done in Columbia, Maryland in the 1960s. The building itself was built for United Engineers and Constructors, which was a major engineering firm based in Philadelphia. This was a satellite office of theirs. And it was designed by the Architects Collaborative of Cambridge, Massachusetts, with John C. Harkness, who was a protege of Walter Gropius, serving as principal in charge on this particular project. Just to familiarize everyone with the site, I actually wish I had something that zoomed out a little farther, but if anyone knows Echelon Mall, that would be located just to the north here across Laurel Road. This is the office building and the attached 2-story parking garage, which was part of the original design for the site. To the southeast here is a man-made lake, which was one of the big components of the Echelon Town Center project. And this is, I think along the left side here to the west, some other smaller commercial buildings. The context has not changed significantly since the building was completed in the 70s. Most of what existed there when it was built is still there, and not much new construction has occurred, although I do believe some new residential projects are proposed for the area. So regarding the building itself, as I mentioned, this is an 8-story office building with a 2-story parking garage. The exterior walls consist of precast concrete panels, which have, and these photos don't really do it justice, but it's a really lovely exposed pebble aggregate in the sunlight, which you can actually see if we go back. The building kind of glows a little bit. And these panels create a consistent grid across all the elevations, and there's a depth to them. The windows are slightly recessed to create this interesting contrast between solid and void. In terms of the interior, this is a pretty standard spec office building. I don't know if I can say that many of the finishes beyond the lobby and elevator lobbies and the stairways are original. I mean, in spec office buildings like this were meant to change frequently over time as tenants moved in and moved out. That said, what's there is compatible with the era in which it was built, in terms of carpeting, commercial carpeting, vinyl tile floors, and of course ACT ceilings. And there are a variety of layouts, floor by floor, including many of these larger open office areas, but also in some locations, smaller private offices. We are nominating for Echelon Plaza under Criterion C in the area of architecture, both as a major work by the influential modern architect John C. Harkness and the Architects Collaborative, which was also commonly known as TAC, and also a significant example of precast concrete architecture in southern New Jersey. I forgot to put the period of significance on here, but that would be 1975, the year the building was completed. So in terms of the architect, John C. Harkness, Harkness was an influential leader of the modern movement in the United States. He studied at Harvard under Walter Gropius and was considered his protege. He founded the Architects Collaborative with Gropius and 6 other architects in 1945, 2 of those being women, which was notable for the period. Harkness and TAC completed many significant works of architecture, from academic buildings to office high-rise towers. As you can see here to the right, a few of the projects on which Harkness himself served as principal in charge. Harkness sort of extended the Bauhaus philosophy of Gropius, and I'm sure many of you are aware Gropius was the founder of the Bauhaus in Germany around 1919, I believe it was. So an important component of that in terms of the actual practice was an emphasis on collaboration and looking at architecture as a problem-solving activity. And I think some of this, and especially what Harkness wrote about in terms of architecture as something that looks beyond historical precedents, is more of a framework for structure and mechanical services and the activities that occur within, and as something that considers growth and change over time. We think those things are reflected in the design for 4 Echelon Plaza. And as for precast concrete, this is a material that was fairly new to architecture beginning in the 1950s. Developed as after World War II, it really impacted the design of modern architecture and affected how architecture, especially commercial buildings like this, started to look beyond the international style and start to emphasize structure and mass and the rhythmic effects of sunlight on a facade created by way of these solids and voids contrasting with each other. You can see here a couple of the original drawings by Harkness and his team at TAC, showing how those various components fit together on the facade. And for these reasons, we think Four Echelon Plaza represents one of the most effective uses of this material in southern New Jersey. There really weren't any others that were, I think, as expressive in terms of their use of precast concrete as Four Echelon, as I demonstrate in the nomination with various comparative examples. So I think that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you. I'm having trouble finding everything on my desktop. A personal note, my mother-in-law worked for the Rouse Company in Columbia, Maryland, which
great.
was, I think, a planned Rouse community. Questions and other more pertinent comments from the board?
I have a comment. Let's see, I'm still seeing the presentation. I'm not seeing faces here. At your beginning comment, when you said you needed to show a more expansive site plan, I agree completely, because right now you're just showing the building and the parking lot. And if you do want to talk about this as being part of a complete community, I think that's really needed. So, you know, it's pretty much like front door, back door in a way, and how they're doing that with the building fronting those two smaller roads coming off of a big highway, and then fronting the pond detention basin, which links all the components of this village together. So if you even want to mention that, I think you have to put that within the general context and show it within relationship to the library next door or some of the other things. Because, you know, as a landscape architect, I can see how you can appreciate the detailing of the pop-up slabs, etc., and the kind of brutalist comments to it. But if you look at that, you know, and so like the top of the parking garage is distinguished by its lights. It's a really blank slate. It's a brutalist building and a brutalist landscape. They're highly functional, but you know, compared to what some of the other landscape architects and architects were exploring, like Kylie or some of the others, this one is pretty stripped down, minimal in terms of how that approaches it. And again, I would put that in there, but I think for this one to pass, you need to stress the detailing the building, the use of the new materials, etc. Because it's late in the TAC career, and this one I see as, you know, a very commercialized space, and fitting within that mode, you know. And I think you use the term the town center here, but again, just like in the last nomination where it was talked about centering around the automobile, here you have to say, you know, the concept of a town center centered around the suburban idea that you drive to and from your home. It's some things like that that I think can give it a little bit more context in terms of positioning it within Rouse's work and within Newtown's.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we actually originally had looked more expansively at the town center, but felt that the architecture argument, you know, in terms of nominating this individually, was certainly the stronger one. But I agree, you know, there could be some more context, you know, discussion of the town center and how this fits into it.
I'm glad you said that, Kathleen. That is so important. I was so excited. I didn't know we had a TAC building in New Jersey, so thank you for teaching me that. But when on section 8, page 7, when you talk about TAC did a quote slew of buildings, come on, Kevin, that's not formal writing, and I would love to have had more than X buildings or something, and maybe again a footnote. I love me a good footnote. You know, these are others that are comparable or from the same period. You don't have to do a whole inventory of TAC's work, but how those pictures you just showed us, how do they relate in time and space to this building? And I'm thinking actually they don't. But But yeah, this is rising on architecture. I agree. The urban design issue is important, but we're not asking you to nominate the Echelon Historic District.
Mhm.
But something more than a slew of buildings. And I'm sorry if that's more work.
No, it's okay. No, I was just looking back at that. I think that sentence was referring and intentionally, generally, to work that Gropius had done prior to TAC. So that wasn't necessarily referencing TAC's work, if that's helpful. But
my mother was an English teacher. I can't help it. Slew of is not a number. It's not a number.
Yeah, no, and as I mentioned, as I said, it's not really meant to be in that context.
Yeah, okay.
Janet, would you be
About
happy
many
with
others.
many? Did Michael say
Yes,
the same thing?
let's go with that.
Let's go with many, but let's clarify what you're trying to clarify, because I didn't necessarily read it that way. So
Yeah, we can certainly make that change.
So I apologize that I didn't read the full nomination prior to this meeting, sort of relying on your presentation. But you know, this is a very interesting building, and I wonder if it's included in the list of New Jersey mid-century modern, I'll say, masterpieces in New Jersey. I didn't know with TAC had a building in New Jersey, although I do remember this building being built, which dates me. And, you know, if I can remember it, how can it be historic? No, it definitely is. I wonder about the material context. And again, you may have already covered this in your nomination, but what type of a precast system is it?
Yeah.
Is it of a particular type? You know, there was a lot going on then internationally. One of the experts is Jack Pyburn.
Pyburn, yeah.
I don't know if you've talked with him, but you know, he can tell you all about the shock baton from Scandinavia, you know, and it in context with other precast systems. So do you know where the work?
Sorry, yeah. So we know these are MOSI panels, not shock baton, at least. We don't know the actual manufacturer. We think it was probably Formigli, which is actually, I think. Their plant was not far from the site.
No, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
We had a tour of that plant in architecture school.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can't say that definitively, but it makes a lot of sense.
Oh, it does. It does.
Yeah.
Did you say that in the nomination? You might want to.
No, I do talk about MOSI, but I don't mention Formigli. I felt like we didn't have enough information, enough justification, but we can certainly mention it as a potential. You know, they're if not likely, at least, you know, certainly possible they could have. Yeah,
footnote.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, it's a cool building, and it looks in great shape from the photos.
Yeah, and I should have mentioned, you know, I showed that, I can pull it up again. There's that one photo. Let's see here. Yeah, so this photo is actually a quote unquote historic photo from 1975. So shortly after it was completed. You can see not much has changed. You know, the building's a little dirty, but otherwise is pretty much fully intact, including the windows. So the integrity is really good.
Wow. Yeah, usually the windows would have been replaced, or quite often they get replaced.
Yep.
I don't know whether this is a little fussy or not, but some of the photographs don't list the location of the buildings. And I believe I checked and they were mostly in the text anyway. When I start, I look at the pictures first. I like to see what I'm dealing with. And I mean, just as an example, and it's, oh, nope, there it is. It's on the same page. There was another one on that page. The JFK Federal Building, it just
It's in
doesn't say where
Boston.
it is,
Yeah.
which it says in the text, but it doesn't say it as a caption on the
Okay.
photograph.
Yeah, we can.
And I don't know if I'm being fussy about that. Andrea can slap my hand if she thinks I am. I just look at the pictures first. The Pan Am building doesn't state location. The Harvard Graduate Center, I figured out pretty easily. It's just, it's very small.
Yeah,
Suggestion.
we can go through those and add the locations.
Thanks.
Andrea, is the state office developing a list of mid-century modern landmarks in New Jersey? I think somebody was doing it, maybe Docomomo.
We do have a spreadsheet of recent past properties in New Jersey, which has an array of period buildings.
Mhm.
Be happy to, I can send it out to the board if they would like. It's an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, I'd love to have that.
Any other comments from the board or questions from the board? Are we still sharing PowerPoint? Can we stop?
Yeah, I can stop.
Thank you.
There we go.
Anything else from the board? Do we have anyone from the public who wants to make comments?
I see nothing in the chat.
Okay. I want to add that I like this building. I'm going to have to look for it when I'm in the area again. But Echelon Mall was our least favorite mall. It's not a surprise that it's deteriorated. Does anyone want to make a motion regarding the building?
I guess I want to ask a question. We raised some issues about context and polishing up references. You do a very good job preparing these, Kevin. Is that a doable redo in a short period of time? Should we table it and give you 3 more months? Should we act on it and hope that you get all those things that we kind of nebulously put out there, but I think you understand what we're looking for.
Yeah, and I think some of that already exists. You know, we edited down some of that stuff from the initial part 1 submission,
right?
Which we could add back in pretty easily. I would prefer if the board voted now and not tabled it. We can add that in before it goes to the Park Service.
Okay. Well, then I move that we do accept the nomination for Echelon Building 4 with the emendations of including more site context, urban design context, and a little more specificity of how this fits into TAC's career and also about its concrete structure. Did I capture everybody's comments, maybe? Yes?
Yes.
All right.
I would second that.
Janet Foster,
Yes.
Kathleen John Alder,
Yes.
Michael Mills,
Yes.
Kate Ogden,
Yes.
Eddie Williams.
Yes.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 3, 4, and 5. Items 3, 4, and 5 are all in the bridge, Hunterdon County Bridge category. The first, I'm thinking maybe we'll move along a little faster. There may be a little less, fewer suggestions or questions. It's just a thought. The first of them is Ferry Road Bridge, Hunterdon County, Delaware Township. Is this Carla?
Yes.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Carla, can you unmute yourself?
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And did you see the presentation?
No.
No.
No. Okay. We reviewed how to do this morning, so okay, I press the share.
Always glitches.
Okay, now can you see it?
Yes.
Oh, yay! Okay, great. So, as you all know, I set out to nominate all of the eligible bridges within the Delaware Township MPDF. This one and the Locktown one are the last two trust bridges within Delaware Township. So, this is the Ferry Road Trust Bridge over Plumbrook. And it's one of 9 active steel truss bridges in the MPDF. So Ferry Road was charted in 1799, and the name is believed to have come from a livestock ferry that was used during the spring freshets to transport the livestock over the stream. We believe that occurred at the site of this bridge and at the site of the bridge that's about a half mile north. So the Locktown Ferry Road is an important road because it connected 2 villages, the villages of Locktown to the north and Surgeonsville to the south, both of which by 1880 had a creamery. They had blacksmith shops, churches, shops. There was a grange, churches, schools. So it was an important farm road. Ferry Road Truss Bridge is a well-preserved example of a steel Pratt half-hip pony truss bridge with pin connections, long stone wing walls, which remain with their capstones, and it meets the requirements established by the MPDF. The county bridge card states that it was built in 1901 and that M.B. Culver was the director. However, there is a date stone in one of the wing walls that says PH 1893. So we don't know if that's just a reused stone or if it actually is when the bridge was built. Unfortunately, there once was a placard that you can see in the lower corner that remains only with the screws and the little ends. So I got the county maintenance crew to go through their supply room and see if there was anything that matched that oval, but they didn't find anything. So it's lost. So we don't know if it was built in 1901 or 1893. So the unique, this is basically a standard pin connected Pratt bridge, but what's unique is the shape of the rivets. So most Pratt bridges would have conical headed rivets, like the round, but the rivets on this bridge are pointed, like a steeple head or a conical shape. And so this type of rivets was more often used for boilers and standpipes, industrial steel components that were put together with rivets. So it suggests that the possibility, because Tippett and Wood of Phillipsburg, New Jersey, also did build bridges. So it suggests the possibility that they built this bridge. We don't have a documentation for the manufacturer, unfortunately, but that's just a possibility. So the steel was manufactured by Jones and Laughlin's, and before 1902, since there is an S at the end of the name. So A lot of the truss bridges in Hunterdon County were reinforced in the 1930s with reinforcement welded plates. So you can see that they were attached to both the inside and the outside, inboard and outboard of the trusses from 1933. So they are a historic component of the bridge, of the trusses itself. By 2005, there was a post that was added beneath one of the floor beams. And then in 2024, basically the bridge deck was taken apart and restored so that it still functions as a truss bridge without any auxiliary support. And today, the floor beams are longer, but it's a fully functioning truss bridge. They in the 2004 repairs, they did replace the bottoms of the end posts. They did that also on the Lower Creek Road Bridge, so that's a common repair, and replaced the floor beams. So today, this bridge retains its integrity of location, setting, road width, and use. And it is a very picturesque bridge also. And the trusses retain their integrity of design, material, feel, and associations. And that's it.
Great, thank you. It is picturesque, although I do have a fondness for the stone arch bridges, but questions? Oh, can we, stop sharing the PowerPoint would be good. Questions, comments from the board?
I think learning to say steel Pratt half hip pony truss single span bridge in one breath entitles us to, bonus points or something. But it's very clear. I actually like the idea that the abutments in the bridge are different period because it shows how the manufactured, the steel thing can be just dropped onto, added to the old stone abutments, that you need both parts of a bridge. And I think that's really well illustrated here. Whether those wing walls served an earlier bridge or they stopped construction for a decade. Interesting to speculate, but not really relevant to our steel Pratt half hip pony truss single span bridge. And it sounds like the amendments made to it, the adding of the trusses laterally to help support it so that it really is working as a truss to this day is very important. It's not just decorative, it is structural. And so I'm a big fan of this, and it's a good nomination. So I would support it.
Thank you.
Can we get your email out of the way?
Oh.
Thank you.
We're also seeing ourselves twice, or at least I am. I don't know if everybody is.
Carla, if you hit stop sharing, it should go back to the.
I thought I did. Okay,
Is
now
hit it harder.
Hit it harder. Okay.
Hit it harder.
There
you go.
Thank you. Other questions or comments from the board? Questions or comments from the public?
I see nothing in the chat.
Okay. Then do I hear a motion? There were no emendations, as I recall. I'll do it. I will move that we approve the nomination.
I'll second.
Calling the question, Andrea.
Janet Foster,
Yes.
Kathleen John Alder,
Yes.
Michael Mills,
Yes.
Kate Ogden,
Yes.
Hetty Williams.
Yes.
Thank you for
Accepted
that,
without
Kate.
emendations.
Yes, thank you for that, Kate. I just hate seeing my name in capital letters all over the minutes from next time, so I'm giving somebody else a chance. But
Oh, I'll do it.
it's a great object in our
Mhm.
landscape.
It is lovely mint green too. Moving along, let's see. Second bridge is Locktown Road Bridge in Delaware Township, Hunterdon County. And I believe this is Carla continuing.
Okay, can you see it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Yes.
great. So this Locktown Road Truss Bridge over the Witchikioki Creek is the last bridge that I nominated because it was so difficult to research because this bridge was moved. It's again one of 9 active steel truss bridges in the MPDF, but it's the only relocated truss bridge in Delaware Township. It began with at the bottom circle at the very. It was actually West Amwell, but it's like almost in Delaware Township, at the in the outskirts of Lambertville, and then it was moved to the northern part of Delaware Township at the top circle. So in its original location, it was near the estate of the Holcomb Estate. It's now the Holcomb Jameson Farm Museum. And you can see in the aerial view of Lambertville that there was a covered bridge there. That covered bridge had a fire in 1913, and then they built a new steel truss bridge. It's a Warren Pony Truss Bridge that was a 2-span in 1914. And we know that from newspaper art. There's a lot of newspaper documentation about the fire of that bridge, and then the county photographs. And we know who built it. It was designed by county engineer Grant Davis, and Dover Boiler Works got the contract to make the truss bridges. They built actually 2 in the same year, one on Manners Road and the one there outside of Lambertville. So Dover Boiler Works is another one of those manufacturers that started by building boilers, but after about 1903, they built a new plant, and they advertised on the top of that plant that they were building bridges. So I think once they expanded, they started building bridges in addition to the boilers. But we don't have the conical rivets on this bridge, but it's a later bridge. So in 1953, so by now the bridge is only 40 years old, 39 years old, no, 41 years old. They were aligning and developing Route 29 along the river. So I guess there was a missing link so that it can extend all the way to Frenchtown. So this was part of that work where they took out the truss bridge and they made the curve. They made it a curve instead of a T intersection. You can see in the 2 aerials from 1953 and 1956. So they've just put a highway bridge there in its place, but they took out this this pony truss bridge and they put it in storage. And it apparently remained in storage for about 6 or 7 years until the bridge that was north of Locktown, and this was a 1899 wrought iron bridge company bridge that we know from the county documentation when it was built and who built that one. But so basically a car went over it and broke down, I guess, on the other side. And then the tow truck came and went over the bridge. And when the tow truck went over it, the bridge collapsed. And this occurred in September of '61. So then they took the bridge that was in storage and they redid the abutments to fit this bridge, keeping 1 stone abutment and expanding the other one with a concrete abutment. And they reassembled the 1 span of the original 2-span bridge. The span in Lambertville, I think, was 70 feet, and here it's 67 and a half feet. So it's confirmed to be the same bridge. So today it remains as an excellent representation of a Warren Pony Truss bridge with riveted connections, and it meets the requirements of the MPDF. And it's also a picturesque component. And it basically, remains original to the 1914, or just in a relocated position. They did, let's see, do I have? They did, when they put it back, I believe that they did change the floor joists and the floor beams, and they added the outriggers. But that's the only change. So that's it.
Thank you. Comments or questions from the board? Oh, can you stop? I don't know if we need the PowerPoint.
Yeah. I have a comment. This one was really interesting to me. I actually really enjoyed your research and your sleuthing on this to discover how many times it went in and out of storage and came back and had a new life. and so thinking about that, in terms of, we've been talking today about steel frames and something being very modern or modern modular style brutalist buildings, but this is a material that is very flexible. And this is the one bridge where you've kept the setting, but you've changed the bridge. And so when I first read it, I did have questions. Does this really meet or match? So I'm going to leave that to the experts on this, but I found the story of how you piece this all together and how this bridge style not only finds itself repeated throughout Hunterdon County in the lime green, but how it also can be used almost like a functional kit of parts. It's like a mobile architecture for mobility, and I found that very, very fascinating. But those are my comments, but I'm going to leave the notion of whether, how much significance it has in this placement. I'm going to leave that up to my colleagues.
Andrea, it's in the multiple property documentation form, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I know there have been issues in the past with buildings that were moved, but in this case, it does seem as if the history of bridges and historic bridges in a particular area, the idea of reusing the bridge makes an interesting part of the story. I appreciate Kathleen's comments about the research. We don't have a problem with including it, correct? Andrea? Or anyone?
That's why we
No,
get paid
I
the
was
big
actually
bucks, Kate.
going to see if Stephanie wanted to jump in.
I believe, if I can just pull up the MPDF, one of the requirements is that if it is a moved bridge, just give me 1 second.
She says that in the nomination. It's not one of the requirements, but it's possible to have a structural bridge moved and still be eligible under the multiple property
Yes.
guidelines.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because until I read that sentence, I was like, oh, too bad. This is really great, but this isn't going to fly. On the other hand, it was moved so long ago. I mean, still in my lifetime, I blush to say, but it was a long time ago. So you can have moved buildings if they were moved more than 50 years ago. And this is somehow over 50 years. I don't think, and you just said it really well, Kathleen. You said, we have an unchanged landscape with a changed object. And how many times have we approved a changed object with a completely transformed landscape. And we said, well, it was subdivided well, suburban growth engulfed it well, this, well, that. So I love that this is flipped, you know, and we have the unchanged. Frankly, the object is unchanged as well. Its location is what has changed. And I was pretty convinced. And again, as part of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. This universe of bridges in Hunterdon County is really fascinating. And I think the untold part of the story is either Hunterdon County has been willfully backward in their bridge care, or who saves a bridge for 7 years? You know, they have been very conscientious about
Absolutely.
maintaining a very rural quality while they still developed in places. And I think it's an amazing part of a larger story of Hunterdon's connection to their rural past and wanting to keep it for a whole lot of reasons that I can only guess at. So I think we're okay with the fact that it's moved. It's a truss bridge. It's still apparently in use, Carla, yes? For cars?
Yes.
Despite the tow truck incident? Okay. I have one comment. The illustration 1 is a beautiful map. Just could there be some overlay identifier of the creek and the approximate location of the bridge, or even of Locktown, so you can get a sense of where you are on that map? Because I don't know that area real well, so I couldn't figure it out.
Okay.
But maybe just doctoring that up. And page 7/4, there's a misspelling. Border is B-O-R-D-E-R, not B-O-A-R-D-E-R. So anyway, but nice work on this one.
Thank you.
Did I misunderstand that the tow truck incident happened on an earlier bridge of a different design, and that
Yes.
this bridge was reused to replace that bridge? Is that correct?
That's correct. The earlier
Okay.
bridge was a Pratt Bridge. This is a Warren.
Yeah.
Ha!
Okay. Do they have the other half of this bridge somewhere still?
I think it's in Kingwood. I haven't researched that enough. It's really close to it. But I couldn't put it in because I didn't know for sure, and I haven't researched it. But it's very, very similar. So basically, when you get out of Locktown, if you go towards Kingwood, right over the border, there's a bridge that looks identical, and I think it's the other half.
And that's the other half.
I
Is there
think.
any way to confirm that?
Wow.
That's a great story.
Yes, I can get the county file. The county takes a while, but I can request the file for that.
I'm not saying it materially affects the application, but it's a real interesting thing in terms of the county making the best use or most use of a historic structure, and they still do it. Anyway, it's a good story.
Yeah, and not only the structure, but also the integrity of the structure within a larger landscape. So that for me is really wonderful. You know, in terms of some of the nominations we've had where the landscape is just non-existent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any more comments from the board? Comments from the public?
I see nothing in the chat.
Okay, then I will ask if anyone wants to make a motion on this one.
Did we have emendations on this one again, or just comments?
At least a spelling error?
Oh, the spelling errors.
I have a couple more spelling errors and misuses of hyphens. And if I may, they don't change the nomination, but if I may, I will send them to Andrea to be reviewed by the consultant just to polish up the text.
Okay, so then I move to approve with the minor emendations.
Okay, and I will second it.
Calling the question, Andrea.
Janet Foster,
Yes.
Kathleen John Alder,
Yes.
Michael Mills,
Yes.
Kate Ogden,
Yes.
Eddie Williams.
Yes.
Passes with minor emendations.
Let's see, are we on our third? I keep losing things. We are on our third and final bridge for the day. Fairmount Pottersville Road Bridge, Tewksbury Township, Hunterdon County. Oh, does anyone on the board need to recuse themselves? I'm sorry, I keep forgetting, Andrea. I'll take that as a no, since no one has recused from other bridges.
Michael Charapa is joining us.
I saw that. I'm getting those too.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Michael.
Thank you. Sorry for the delay.
We're glad you're here. Carla, do you want to start?
Yep.
The next.
So this is the Fairmount Pottersville Road Bridge over Hollowbrook in Tewksbury Township. And it's one of approximately 19 stone arch bridges in the Tewksbury Township MPDF. So we're not in Delaware Township anymore. We're way up in Tewksbury in the northern part of Hunterdon County. And the significance of the bridges is based on the collective grouping, which together creates and conveys a strong sense of place. The Fairmount Pottersville Road was chartered in 1842 to connect the villages of Pottersville with, well, the village of Pottersville with New Germantown Turnpike, which was chartered in 1813. So the bridge probably did not accompany the initial construction of the road. And there's no documentation, since this is not on an active road anymore, there's no documentation as to when it was built. But we're estimating that it was built in the fourth quarter of the 19th century. Where the dotted line shows where Fairmount Pottersville Road is, it ended at a Methodist church that originally was called Fox Hill, and then the name Fairmount just kind of moved up, because Fairmount was the village where the mill was further down on the turnpike, which is now 517. But the name Fairmount just sort of morphed Fox Hill. So that's the name, Fairmount Pottersville Road. That's not the name of the road today. Today it's called Fairmount Road West, right? I think. Okay. So the 1900 topographical map shows the area of the bridge, that it was wooded in 1900, and it remains wooded today. So it's on like this little jog in the road. And you can see the jog that remained in 1902. It was like a twist. And these twists were put in roads for horses because it went down to the valley where the bridge is and a stream. So they made the road twist to so that it wasn't as steep for the horses. So then in the early 1930s, they straightened the road and they took out the twist so that the bridge was then abandoned. In 1928, Pottersville Reservoir purchased the property and they built a reservoir to supply the surrounding estates in the Pottersville area with water. And this saved the bridge. So the bridge became part of that parcel, the reservoir parcel. And the 1930 aerial shows the new alignment of Fairmount Road with the old alignment of Fairmount Pottersville Road, and the location of the bridge. And today, so the road remains as a wooded path, and you can see the height change. So when they realigned the road, they took away the descent. And they put a high bridge there. So, but that shouldn't go next. Oh. So today the wooded area is a 22-acre area that's owned by the Hollowbrook Preserve. That's owned. It's called the Hollowbrook Preserve, and it's owned by the Tewksbury Land Trust. And the bridge is the feature of the preserve. It remains as a ruin, but yet the bridge is still capable of supporting itself and on a live load, and has enough fabric remaining to convey its original appearance. So the bridge will be incorporated into a walking and hiking trail. It is a good example of the northern style of Hunterdon County stone arch bridges. It's built of local gneiss and granite without a lot of refinement. So basically they took the stone, they did not, this river stone, and without any dressing other than minimal. And the arch barrel, so in Delaware Township, the arch ring, the facing on the arch barrel would have a smooth outer surface, but here each stone is allowed to be slightly different. Each viscera is allowed to be slightly different than the stone that's next to it. So it's more rusticated, again, less refinements than the sandstone, which was easily shaped. The arch barrel is made with one course of upright stone. We can see that because there is a hole in the arch barrel. The arch barrel is set very low to the water course on a low stone base. These are characteristic of the northern style of stone arch bridges. The face of the viscers are not dressed, and not all the viscers are radially aligned. And I said this already, but the outer line of the arch ring is staggered, and both the inner and the outer line are staggered due to the various heights of the stones of the viscers. The wing walls are asymmetrical, and the arch barrel is set on a 18-degree skew angle. So, so basically, the only change is that repointing that I think the Pottersville Water Company did, but there's no other changes. And the wing walls symmetrically splay. The approach roads are kept low, and this results in the characteristic humpback of the roadway. So you go up and then back down. And I love that profile. And you can see how high the arch is above the stream and above the roadway in this photo. So there's no road fill because it was taken out of public use. There's no macadam or road fill above the arch. So the original height of the parapets is maintained, and many of the original capping stones remain. And it's interesting that the end capstones are larger than all other capstones, and that's characteristic of 3 of the 4 end walls. The fourth one is collapsed on the end, so we can't see that. This is the upstream side and the downstream side. And that's it.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
Well, I'll make a comment. This is a beautiful feature in the landscape, and it looks like a Olmsteady kind of designed ruin. It's just a lovely thing. I'm concerned that it seems in danger because of the amount of vegetation and the lack of mortar and the collapsing stonework and so forth. But, you know, in terms of the archways and how they're constructed, it has a lot of integrity, and it has structural integrity, and it may last as a ruin for a long time. But I would love to see this stabilized and I mean not utilized. It's now it's an object, and maybe that's better that there is no roadway traffic over it, except maybe a pedestrian trail or something. But anyway, I think this is a beautiful feature, and that historic feature, and it ought to be preserved. And if putting it on the register will help that, I'm fully in favor of it.
I agree with Michael. I mean, I looked at this and it was like, it's the classic picturesque landscape. But I would also say that what I found really fascinating is that it is still functional, but a different program. So it's a functional use for a hiking trail that goes to the woods, and they have maintained it by keeping the trees away. But like you, I'm a little worried that, you know, it will continue to become more of a ruin, you know, versus just the little hole in the middle with the tree trunks around it. But again, for the ensemble of bridges that you have put together for Hunterdon County, you know, we've seen them modified by engineers. We've seen them with guardrails. We've seen them put in storage and moved. And now we see one where the road has moved, but the bridge itself has remained, and the town itself then has decided to incorporate it into a different kind of program through a multiplicity of owners, which again is not something that you would necessarily see. So I like that fact, or the fact that it will be part of an active trail system as well.
I was happy to see that in proposed future work, the two-phase stabilization campaign.
You read the announcement at the beginning. The board cannot consider future or intentional work. And this nomination is deeply flawed because it relies on telling us it's got like a puff piece for the Tewksbury Township Open Space Society or whatever, talking about what they're going to do, what they want to do. And like, that's great. But all of that needs to come out. And I have real concerns about the structure of the nomination. The artifact is interesting. The landscape is great. We also need a master class in the use of hyphens on this thing. But we cannot talk about that. I think we could talk about, I mean, we just talked about it in public, but it's not what's going to happen to this. It's what it is. And it's right now a sorry little pile of stones that used to be a humpback bridge. Is that enough to be on the register as part of this, as part of the whole multiple property thing? And I would say yes, but I would also say I think there are a lot of upgrades, emendations need to be made to this nomination so that it flies through.
Good point.
I just, so work is planned, I think Chris is on the call. And
la, 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 la. Carla, we it's not relevant to us. We got that from the nomination. You can't do that.
But my question is, should we wait for the work to be done? I had this question a year ago, and everybody said, no, we don't want to wait. So if we wait for the work to be finished, since it is eminent.
It's not about the work being finished or unfinished. I think it is nominatable in the condition it is in. But I'm saying the nomination itself can't.
Shouldn't mention that.
Shouldn't mention that, shouldn't forecast that. Suppose their plans change, there's a big budget cut, which is very likely, and they don't get it done for the next 10 years. Does that mean this is not eligible? I would say yes, it is, based on its structure and its kind of unique little, as you call it, medieval. And I thought that was a perfect word for that really high arch. So yes, I think we should be talking about the bridge, but not about what's going to happen to it next week.
Yeah, this is really interesting. And again, putting it in context, and we can't put it in context because each nomination stands alone. But earlier in this session, there was, sadness that a Belvedere was gone, but the building was seen as intact. And there is a hole in the middle of this bridge. Some arch stones are gone, but the bridge itself is still intact. And it has a function in the landscape. And again, so I think I'll take Janice's point and really I say that it's nominatable because you can basically take that as a removed Belvedere or a door or something like that changed or not there, but leave the rest out.
So specifically on page 7, section 7, page 6, that entire paragraph on proposed future work, that should come out.
And on 7/2 and on 8 or 7/6 and on 8/3. Yeah, there are a number of places.
Okay, I didn't
where
catch
that has to go away. I have one quick structural question for you, Carla, on 7/3, the capstones paragraph. What's a clef? You describe
the natural cleft in the stone.
I think the word is cleft with a T on the end.
Okay.
Clef is the musical notation about whether you're soprano or a tenor. But I thought maybe it had a different meaning in Bridge World. So you mean cleft. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, another thing that I thought was really interesting about this nomination that set it apart and made it unique was the fact that there wasn't a new roadway in the middle of it. And so that you could actually see the hump and the true height of the stone abutments on either side, which if my memory serves me correct, we haven't seen that in any of the other bridges. And so for me, an emphasis on that original character, which is most similar to what it would have been like without modification when it was first built, is important too.
Janet, are you going to confirm with Andrea later those page numbers that you mentioned?
I have 3 pages. I have 3 pages of edits for that. And I guess the question is, do you trust my editorial eye, or do we need to send it back for a revision and hear it again when it's fully revised? Or don't trust me, but I mean, if we just send that along, or would you all like to see it, but then we can't vote today?
I think I'd like to see it personally before we vote on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
One way around that would be to scroll through the nomination if everyone has it in front of them. If we start with whatever it was,
Line by
7.
line? Can we have a bathroom break first?
That was gonna
Yeah,
be my
really.
question.
I don't know.
That
I
was
mean,
my question
I
for
would
Bridge.
say not go through line by line because I think that is a little bit much, but I think that to have these changes made and I don't think they'll take a long time to make, particularly with the yellow markings that I just saw on a piece of paper held up there. So a good editorial start. So I would suggest that we don't do that, but we hear it again after these are made.
Table it till our next meeting.
Yes.
For revisions.
Okay.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Can I ask
but-
a question about when construction is supposed to start? Because the only hiccup that I see in this emerging plan is that if you table it for 3 months and construction starts, then the appearance has changed and all of section 7 would have to be sort of reworked for its current condition. So I just want to be mindful of what the consequences are really going to be.
Chris Teasdale from the Tewksbury Land Trust. Is there any value in me sharing information with you guys at this time or no?
Normally, we would call for comments from the public. If it's all right with everyone, go ahead, please.
Okay. The only outstanding item is a DEP freshwater wetlands permit that is about to be submitted to the DEP. And as part of that, we describe the work to be done. So I know that the committee is not happy with the, oh, this is going to be done stuff, because that's not about the bridge. But we are grateful to Carla for articulating that so that we can share that with other bodies like the DEP, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So we can hold on any construction to work with your schedule. But as I think Michael suggested, there are holes in the bridge and we don't want this thing to get more dilapidated. It just increases the expense of fixing. The hole is continuing to widen, kind of thing. So we don't want to wait too long, but we are happy to wait so that your board isn't dealing with something that's been pulled apart in certain sections.
How fast can you get your DEP permit if you submitted
I
it
would
right away?
say- Oh, you know better than I, right? It would probably take
I
months.
think we'll be done with the resubmission
bet.
before you get your DEP permit.
You bet, you bet.
Is my guess. I don't think we'd be holding you up if we
I
tabled
am
this
sure
to
you are not.
March.
Absolutely.
And once we would be acting on it and potentially favorably, it's on the state register within days. I mean, we have to wait for it to go to the national register, but it's on the state register, which
Yeah.
which is the helpful legal support that you need.
Yes,
So I don't feel like this is holding you up, but I
it
think
is not. It is not.
and I did see that some of the text that Carla wrote, I thought, this is great for the PR purposes of fundraising and raising awareness about this bridge. It just doesn't belong in a nomination, but
Gotcha.
thank you for
Gotcha.
speaking up.
Oh, you're welcome.
And Andrea, do we need to vote on tabling? Yes, your mic is off, but
Sorry, we need a motion, a second, and then we'd have to vote in order to table the nomination.
Okay. I will be that person. I vote, we table the nomination at this time pending edits and amendments, and we look forward to seeing a revision soon.
I'll second. That was Kate.
Michael Charapa,
Yeah,
Off
muted.
mute.
You're muted.
I'm in favor of tabling, yes.
Janet Foster,
Yes.
Kathleen John Alder,
Yes,
Michael Mills,
Yes,
Kate Ogden,
Yes.
Eddie Williams.
Yes.
The motion to table this nomination has been passed unanimously.
Thank you. I have an important question. It is noon almost. We've been at this for a couple of hours almost. Can we have at least a 5-minute break? I'm not proposing a lunch break. We only have one nomination left, but it is the carousel. So there might be discussion. Everyone okay with 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Okay,
that'd be good.
thanks.
Barbara, would you like to share your presentation, or would you like us, our staff, to share your presentation and you can just say next slide?
I'd like to have the staff do the presentation.
Okay.
I have it open, Andrea.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yep.
So you're going to be the sharer
Yes.
in the advancer? Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
believe the 10 minutes have passed. If Hetty, Michael, and Michael are back, if you turn your cameras on, maybe we can get started.
Do we still see Hetty? She's not on my screen.
Hetty, I see Hetty, but not Michael Mills.
She's here.
I see Hetty.
It always puzzles me why when someone's talking, they suddenly appear. I'm spreading my view wider and wider, and I just don't see everyone. Technology is.
Trying to get, say, 9 across or 10 across or something in my view, and it just stays the same size.
Mine, the images expand, so it's the same number. Yeah, it's just sort of annoying. I wish the state could go to Zoom, but back in the Bob Craig days, it was even an issue. I remember talking about it with Bob. Michael? I don't.
You know, I have an open bet, $20 to the person who can teach me to whistle like this, that, you know.
If we had a really loud whistler, maybe we could get them back.
Maybe we could get him back, but he's muted and he's gone off to answer his email, but we can't go because we're not a quorum then, can we?
Oh,
No,
Michael, welcome back.
There, thank you, saved.
Michael and Michael.
Keep up, Michael, keep up.
I'm sorry.
Janet, be nice. Starting again, right, Andrea? We are resuming the meeting. The final item on the agenda is the carousel, Seaside Heights Carousel in Seaside Heights, Ocean County.
Barbara Charles will be presenting.
Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Should I start?
Yes.
First, thank you all very much. This is the first time I've presented for a National Register application, but I've actually worked on this one on and off. I want to thank Bob Craig and Andrea for being very patient in talking about carousels. This is the Seaside Heights Carousel. It's in Ocean County, and it's the last surviving carousel along the shore of the original carousels that were there. Next. Next image, please.
Did it move? No.
Yes. No.
Yes. No. Hold on.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So the carousel started out, the upper photograph is an aerial view of Seaside Heights, and where the bathhouse and pool, casino and pool is, that was an empty lot in 1935, and it was owned by Joseph Endres. And he puts a carousel on that lot, and we know we can date when it arrives because 5 neighbors write complaining letters to the city council about the loud music. And they think the music can be turned down, which it can't be on a band organ. So we know the carousel was set up in July of 35 on that lot. The band organ came with the carousel, and the carousel was not initially enclosed. The city town, they asked this, for an inspection, and there was no building and no prospect of having a building put around it immediately. By 37, however, the property had changed hands and the carousel went with it, and the pool and casino had been built there and included the carousel. And you can see the peaked roof, sort of center of the photograph on the far right is the peaked roof. And that's the carousel built within the casino. By 2012, Hurricane Sandy came. The casino pier had expanded out over the ocean. They lost their roller coaster. They lost other rides in the hurricane. And in 2014, they put the carousel and band organ up for auction. The borough then worked with the owners of Casino Pier. It took several years, a number of hearings, and actually went to the state Supreme Court. But the borough acquired the carousel as well as some land 6 blocks north. So the carousel was on the west side of the boardwalk, and it was moved 6 blocks north to where you can see the red arrow in the historic photograph, and the new building is below. So it has the exact same relationship to the boardwalk. And carousels were always built to be moved. Next image, please. The carousel is a very interesting creation, is probably the best way to put it, because by the Depression, none of the makers were in business. William H. Densel had died in 28. Philadelphia Toboggan was only finishing up some carousels that they had in the works. Makers in Coney Island were no longer making new carousels. So if you wanted a carousel during this period, you created it from parts of older carousels and then maybe added some new features that would kind of make it up to date. So in this case, probably 80%, one might say, of the carousel was made from older parts. The core and the upper rounding boards are from, those are the inside facades are from W.F. Mangles, one of the major makers in Coney Island. The inside lower surrounds are from Densel, and the chariot, at least one of the chariots, is by E. Joy Morris of Philadelphia, probably also the camels. The figures, the outside figures, except for the camels, are probably all by Densel horses and quite early. And the second row is Loof, a Coney Island maker, and then there are some other Coney Island makers further in on the carousel. So it's one of a small group I've been able to identify, probably half a dozen carousels made during the Depression that look very much like this, and that all have new outside kind of deco up-to-date rounding boards like this one does. Next. The significance. The significance is statewide. Carousels dotted the Eastern Shore. When I first saw this carousel in 71, there were at least 12 machines up and down the shore. Earlier, I mean, carousels had started in Atlantic City back in the 1880s. So it's a statewide, this is the surviving carousel that represents these early mechanical amusements along the shore. It represents recreation, of course, and for adults and children. Culture and art, the decorations are classic examples of carousel makers. And the band organ has always been with this carousel, and music is an integral part of the whole experience of riding a carousel. Next. We picked the period of significance, obviously starting in 1935 when the carousel is first installed, and was probably made right around that time, and ending in 75. For those first 40 years, it has many other friends along the shore. I mean, many carousels are dotting from Wildwood had 3, Asbury Park had 2. You just went up the shore and, every 10, 15 miles you could ride another carousel. But by the mid 70s, carousel figures had become increasingly popular with very high prices, and dealers were coming and buying carousels and breaking them up, and carousels were being put up for auction. And of the other 12, at least, that I knew about in 71, 11 of them, that was their fate. And this one is still here. So there's a core period where it represents just carousels dotting is probably the best way to put it, the Jersey Shore. And this is the earliest view of the carousel, and it's one I took at that time. Next. Integrity, it's totally complete. There's no evidence of significant changes. There's been minor changes that, like a new step so that you can get on the horses more safely. The lighting has all been restored back to where it was originally. Some neon had been put back, but Carousels and Carvings in Marion did a fabulous restoration job. And Todd Goins, who owns that company, was actually recognized a year ago by the National Endowment for the Arts for heritage, being a heritage craftsman. So all the lights are back where they should be. Everything's been cleaned up, but it has total integrity. And the relocation is a really minor issue. It's only moved 6 blocks, has same relationship to the boardwalk. But more importantly, carousels were made to be moved. Even permanent ones move. And if you look at the 11 carousels on the National Historic Landmark list, only 3 are in their original locations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was fun to end with carousels. I learned a lot. I had no idea. Andrea, I have maybe 2 or 3 just writing things. Can I just email you? Okay. So, for anyone who's thinking the similar thing, plural, singular, verb, noun, relationship in a couple places. That's all. Other comments from the board or questions?
This is Janet channeling Dave Abramson. Fabulous maps, fabulous photographs, very clear. I'm just feeling like I need cotton candy now. I really need a dish of cotton candy. Section 4 or section 7, page 4, you talked long. Section 7, page 4. Last paragraph, there's a long sentence that includes a date of 1919 to 1920, and I bet you mean 2019 to 2020. And that's an easy thing to fix. But you're
absolutely right.
See that? Because I stumbled over it, like, wait. Oh, no. That's just a simple typo. And that, ladies and gentlemen, it's my only correction. It's fabulous.
I want you, Janet, to know that's an N dash. I'm very big on dashes.
Janet Foster, are you okay with the sentence where it continues to provide continuous joy? This is in line with your previous comments about the previous nomination.
Michael, where is that?
The concluding summary.
I never turned down continuous joy, Michael. So
that's all right. Yeah, you say we can't comment on use and future. We have to comment on. Good. Are we gonna let that one go? Because I like it. I think it's wonderful. It's a great.
I'm pleased you're putting in your comments, Michael. If you like it, then I think we all bow and genuflect to you on that.
Thank you. No. I just was going by your earlier comments, but that's
I just want to comment that I really enjoyed this nomination. I did not realize how carousels were put together from multiple places, multiple venues, and put together into these magical little moments that, if we were all lucky enough to go to that amusement park, did we get the lion or the camel or the horse that went up and down, so I think it was really well put together, and the visuals are wonderful.
Thank you.
I have a friend in southern New Jersey who's a well-known carver, decoy carver, who in his own sort of making his own mythology, he has an ancestor who worked for one of those Philadelphia manufacturers and carve the horses. He wonders if that's where he developed his skill. I could always pass his name on to you if you need it, but I don't know who the relative is. But
I would be very interested in that because I have for years. I mean, I've been dealing with carousels for decades.
We can see that. Yeah.
And now that I'm retired from other stuff, I want to finally get back to really trying to write a broader history. And so any contacts with ancestors, of major carvers or people who worked in the factories would be great.
I've often been struck by how these horses, these devices get cannibalized. People want the horses. They don't want they just want them.
We lost New Jersey had at least 12, maybe more, in 1971 when I first saw them. We did a census in 74. Still were there pretty much. One had come in to Ocean City that's now endangered. But now New Jersey only has 4.
Wow.
And only this one on the shore, and then the one in Ocean City that may not stay there. The park closed a year ago.
What happened to the one in Asbury Park? The building is still there, but the carousel is not.
That was a big Philadelphia toboggan. It was broken up. I don't know if it was sold and broken up or whether it went to auction, but there were 2 carousels. There was also that was the casino building.
Casino building, yeah.
And then the Palace right across the street also had a carousel, and both.
Palace Amusements had one also?
Yeah,
oh, boy.
that was
Okay.
that was kind of a mixture of ones, whereas the casino one was pure.
Uh-huh. I'd heard rumors that they were trying to get that carousel back. And it was somewhere down south and they were trying to get it back, but
I don't think we could probably find them a Philadelphia toboggan, but I don't think, I'd have to check, but I don't think that specific one still exists.
Yeah.
But if you know somebody who wants to get one back, I'd love to see that building get a carousel. It's such a great building.
It is.
And I was going to say the new building that the carousel is in, I think is appropriate. We're not nominating that structure, but it's an important and I think contextually appropriate way to contain the carousel. And I'm not bothered by the fact that it's brand new. In fact, I'm relieved it's brand new so that at least that part is going to work and be protective of the carousel, the mechanism, the music. I mean, the fact that it's got all those parts to it is really
it's really
great.
remarkable.
I actually just saw an article in the magazine Antiques about carousel horses, gleefully talking about how they strip them from here and strip them from there, and these horses are worth $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 each. I mean, there's such a market pressure to pull them apart, and so I give Seaside Heights huge kudos for preserving it as a complete artifact in the right location, and long may it survive.
Yeah.
It's actually, I think, in a better location than it was because it was hidden back inside the casino with all of these, pinball machines around it and so on. And now when the doors are open and you can hear the band organ, down the boardwalk, and, it's a little above the action, but I think the action will move up toward it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if this is not really, specifically relevant to your study, but Freehold Mall has a carousel. They're new, right? They I guess they have experienced some kind of like comeback. But Freehold Mall has one, and Long Branch and Pier Village has a relatively new one, maybe 10 years old, something like that.
There's a lot being made, particularly in Italy,
really?
You'll see them all over Europe, and you'll see old dates on them. So my friends send me pictures, and I'll have to say, well, yeah, it's 30 years old. It's not 1980, or 1880, but and there's communities that are carving carousels now across the country and making them a feature in their towns, which is very exciting.
Are they an American phenomenon originally?
No. And I've got an article coming out in a European book. I think they start in the Ottoman Empire in the 16th century.
Wow.
And that Europeans see them. They're at Bayram festivals, at Ottoman festivals at the end of Ramadan and so on. And European travelers, a number of them comment on seeing these festivals and rides. And then there's some little ones in Europe by 1700, but in Dresden, Augustus der Starke puts on a big festival, and he has a carousel, he has a Ferris wheel, he has swings, he has all the rides that you've seen in the Ottoman Empire, a century before. And they're showing up even in little Stammbooks, these little album amacorum that travelers carried, and drawings. So in that article, I'm using some of these historic drawings, little Ferris wheels, really sweet.
So then that makes sense why there are lions and camels then, if it comes from that historical source. I never understood, why there were horses, lions, and camels, and why that mixture, but it's.
Well, but there aren't there aren't
not
animals
all of them.
early on.
Oh.
No, they're horses.
Oh, just horses? Okay.
Yeah. But the first American one is in Salem, Massachusetts, 1799.
Wow.
Interesting.
That I know about. I mean, the guy advertises that it's like what you've seen in Philadelphia, Boston, etc., but I haven't found them anyplace else.
Fascinating. Any other comments, questions from the board? Do we have anyone from the public who wanted to comment on this, Andrea?
I don't see any requests in the chat.
Okay,
Chris Voss is here. He's the city borough administrator. I don't know if he wants to.
No comments. Great job.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. In that case, do I hear a motion?
I move we accept the application.
I second.
Say that.
That was Michael and Michael Mills, and then Michael Charapa.
So the motion is to accept it without emendations, just some minor typographical corrections.
Yep, right.
Michael
century
Charapa,
correct.
Yes.
Janet Foster,
Yes.
Kathleen John Alder,
Yes.
Michael Mills,
Yes.
Kate Ogden.
Yes, with joy.
Hetty Williams.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank
so
you
much.
very much. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Barbara.
Thank you.
That
Thank
was
you.
fun.
Thank you.
Ride a carousel. If you see one, ride them.
Yes. Okay. And thanks for sticking with us all morning, Barb. I know
Yeah,
you
it
were on
was-
very early and hung on for every bite. Yes, thanks.
Well, it was educational for me because I didn't know how this would go. So it was good. And thank
Funny
you
of-
all
Sure.
for all
Thank
your
you.
service. Yeah. And a salute to Andrea for sticking with me on getting this together.
Yes.
Thank you, Andrea. Yeah.
And Stephanie helping me yesterday to be sure I could get on. Yeah.
Great.
And today.
Yeah. Thank you. Exactly.
Okay. I'm going to hand this to Andrea for announcements and staff report. If you're
Sure.
ready.
I'll begin with the staff report. We've had some staffing changes. We've lost 2 folks. Emily Gioberti completed her internship and will be pursuing historic preservation in New York. Lauren Huber will be leaving the historic preservation office towards the end of the month this month, and we'll be going into a private sector job. But we have added Rachel Wu, who will be assisting us with a reconnaissance level survey funded by the New Jersey Office of Emergency Management. The effort's going to focus on flood-prone communities and is going to be similar to the process implemented by FEMA and the Historic Preservation Office after Hurricane Sandy to try and get information to facilitate recovery after, after floods. We also wanted to update the board about the October 29th Senate Committee on Energy and Natural Resources. They had a full committee hearing on the Section 106 process on October 29th, where the committee was trying to understand more about the 106 process and better prepare for future discussions on permitting reform. I've also sent the board some correspondence from the National Park Service. The first was the September e-blast, which I'm having trouble finding it in my paper. It talks about reforms to the National Register form and talks about some staffing changes and features property, the Elkhorn Band Shell, which is in Wisconsin. The next piece that I attached was the September Best Practices Review, which talks about considering unusual properties and features a picture of our own Lucy the Margate elephant prominently. So that's an interesting read. I also wanted to share with the board the National Park Service's request for changes to the Women's Club of Englewood nomination. It went down with the style being vernacular, and the National Park Service staff did not think that it was a vernacular and wanted to see it categorized as arts and crafts, which I think is interesting because arts and crafts is not a choice on their approved style list. But, so I wanted to share that they were very accommodating. The staff just called up and asked for us to prepare a substitute page. We sent them the substitute page. It has been subsequently listed on the National Register. So there wasn't a formal return, but I just wanted you to be in the loop about that interaction. We also need to set the State Review Board meeting schedule for 2026. The dates that we're proposing are Wednesday, March 18th, 2026, Thursday, July 16th, and Thursday, November 12th. Let me just make sure that Wednesday, March 18th is right, because that seems... Yep, it's Wednesday, March 18th.
Can you repeat them? I was looking for my calendar online and can't find it.
Sure. Wednesday, March 18th. Thursday, July 16th. And Thursday, November 16th. So Hetty teaches all day Wednesday. And I'm trying to see why we did Wednesday instead of Thursday. And I'm not remembering. We could do Thursday, March 19th instead of Wednesday, March 18th, if that is agreeable.
Doesn't matter.
I teach in the afternoon, but I could be there in the morning. It usually either starts at 12:30 or 2. I don't know. I think it'll be 2. It starts at 2, so I should be able to make that.
I also have Wednesday afternoon class, but morning's fine.
Well, if we switch it to Thursday, then all three of you are, it's better for all three of you. So why don't we consider doing that?
Okay.
So it'll be Thursday, March 19th, Thursday, July 16th, and Thursday, November 12th.
And I see you have the March meeting already at St. Elizabeth's. Would that shift? You'll have to find out if you've got the room for that space, right?
I'm very confused.
I thought I saw in something you sent that it was at St. E's.
That's the
Am I-
statewide History and Historic Preservation Conference in June.
Yes, okay.
I don't anticipate any board activities associated
Okay.
with St. E's in
Maybe I
2026.
misread something. Sorry.
That's okay. I guess before we leave the schedule, this year we had the March meeting in person. And so I wanted to know if the board would like to have all the meetings virtually, or would you like to have one meeting in person, or would you like to adopt like an every other year you're going to have an in-person meeting? So I wanted to know what the board's pleasure was.
Virtual is easier for me.
I will say virtual is a lot easier for staff.
Okay, well, that's a very important consideration because you do an awful lot. And much as I love continued joy and seeing all my friends, I'm going to have to, have to figure out another way to do that than at a business meeting.
All right, so we will do 2026 as 3 virtual meetings.
Okay.
The 2026 Statewide History and Historic Preservation Conference is June 17th and June 18th at St. Elizabeth University in Morristown. On the 17th, they're expecting to have a half day with tours and workshops. And June 18th will be a full day with a keynote speaker, breakout sessions, and a closing reception. The website is supposed to go live December 9th, but it has had a few hiccups, so we'll cross our fingers and hope for that. And then the staff report ends with recent register listings. And in breaking news received just yesterday, the Women's Club of Englewood was listed on September 29th, 2025, and the Warman Road Stone Arch Bridge was listed the same day.
Okay.
Great.
Back to the dates. I wrote down November 16.
November
No.
12th.
Oh, that's the problem. Okay, 12. Thank you.
July 16, November 12th, right?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
March
okay.
19th, July 16th, November 12th.
Yep, got it. And
I
yes, I
will-
can see why I picked up St. E's. I'm sorry. Everybody should go to the conference. It has nothing to do with SRB. Sorry.
That's okay. There's a lot going on. We don't have any other announcements at this time.
I have another question. So the SAH basically put out a statement about what recently happened at the White House. I don't know, you're a state agency, et cetera, and I know the National Park Service would have some difficulties here, but is there any announcement or anything coming out from the state on those recent actions?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
It's a tragedy.
I think it's a tragedy, but
It's a tragedy. And I worked in Washington before I moved into academia. We had projects in Washington, and the approval process was onerous. It often took 3 to 4 years, but it was rigorous, and it was needed to engage all community groups, et cetera. So it's tragic, not only for the building, but also for the landscape.
Also for the procedural rule of law of
Mhm.
historic preservation, among other things, and I will end
Yeah.
right there.
Okay, just
I-
wanted to bring that
Well,
up.
if you can stack the commission on fine arts with your own people, you can do anything you
That's
want.
true.
Yeah.
That's true. And the NCPC too, which they stacked.
Yeah, it took us almost, well, it took us a year and a half to go through that process on the White House fence,
Mhm.
which we designed
Yeah,
and was
Oh, good
just
for you.
installed.
yeah.
And all the things we had to do over there to accommodate that wing was the visitor entrance to the White House.
Mhm.
And I don't know, there was a
Yeah.
lot of work done to incorporate that into the fence design and so forth.
Mm.
And now it's just gone. Well, the fence is still there, but everything
Yeah.
behind it is gone. It reminds me of that movie, White House Down. Did you ever see that?
Oh, yeah. No,
It's-
because
yeah.
when I was working, we were working on the redesign of the plaza and the security wall for the Washington Monument. And it took many, many years for review and approval.
Yeah, yeah.
And even though the Park Service and the NCPC were our clients, it still,
Mhm.
works through. But
Right.
it's sad. Anyway,
Can
okay.
Can I
Ellie.
raise a different topic that we can all discuss?
I have one
freely?
too.
Yeah, which is because we were a little stuck starting this when we didn't know how to reach everybody. Can we, the staff, somehow organize everybody send in your current text number, email number, so we can all share it, and we all promise we won't put you on any vile mailing lists, but if we need to call you and say, we really need a quorum, can you come? Or are you
Yeah.
okay? We last saw you crossing a bridge in Hunterdon and you seem to have disappeared. It would be nice to have that updated list, and if everybody's comfortable sharing it, just with our board members and the staff, obviously.
So I have a list. I can send the list out to the board. And if you have any updates or corrections, you can send it to me. And if there are any updates or corrections, I can resend it out to the board.
That sounds
Great.
simple. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea. Also, Gregory has stepped down as vice chair and left, correct? He's not coming back at all.
Correct.
Do we want to individually send a card of thanks or send a card from the office of thanks for his service? I mean, if he's not coming back, we won't do a cake.
We had that discussion.
We have had cakes in the past, but do you want to send something, Andrea, from the board? Can I send a card from the board? It's hard to get everybody to sign it. I would be happy to do it.
I
I'll
think
send
that
it
would be a
and-
lovely, lovely
Okay.
idea.
I will do it on behalf of the board. That sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
And I guess that sort of begs the fact that at the March meeting, we'll have to have election of officers again. And so if anybody wants to volunteer to be considered for vice chair, maybe reach out rather than us just have us all looking at each other in March.
Okay.
Good business item, Andrea. Thank you. Am I calling it? Anything else? Anything else from the board?
I'd like to apologize for stepping out a couple of times during this meeting this morning. I'm in Denver for a family occasion. I've been getting phone calls of, anyway, I apologize.
We forgive
Won't happen
you.
again.
You showed up and we forgive you. Thank you. And thanks, Michael, for showing up too.
Yes.
We didn't have a quorum briefly, but we're good. Okay, hereby calling the Kathleen.
Oh, no, I was just, I was reaching up to hit the leave button.
Oh, okay. Officially, meeting adjourned.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you all.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.
No, I know. That is correct. Perhaps we should bring that up next time in the next eligibility meeting. Say about it, except that they seem to think it was lovely. I know. Right. Right. Yeah. Oh. Glad they did it. Better not, sending it to Washington. They hated it. We just had to do it anyway.